Are you a podcaster? Maybe you've got that big idea and you're looking for a network to join. The multi-award-winning Ozcast Network can get your content to eyes and ears all over the world. Join now for the first month free, and you could be featuring this sound at the beginning of your podcast.
Ozcast.
Simply head to ozcastnetwork.com for details.
It's The In Show, Australia's only show dedicated to innovation from Adelaide, Australia and across the globe.
Another week and another podcast. It's David Grice and Troy Sincock. We're talking innovation on The In Show.
Yeah, we're talking with startups, entrepreneurs, people with great ideas that just take the idea and make it real.
They really do. And I tell you what, there's people doing incredible things right around the world, not only where we're from here in Australia, but globally. People are up to all sorts of big things, and sometimes they get a little weird.
Yeah, they do. And I love the fact that we've got someone like Claire that can share about all the weird things that are going on.
I don't know where she digs this stuff up from, but she's got a story today about how Elton John will live on well beyond his use-by date, apparently. And to be honest, he does look like he may have gone just a couple of weeks too far.
Yeah, and I hear he's going to be hanging up that nice red sequin jacket that you've been coveting for so long.
I got to tell you, I don't mind his outfits. I probably would wear a few of those jackets.
Yeah, well, you're a bit of a jacket man.
And the glasses. He's got a pretty good array of those too.
Oh, he does. I like those really big ones.
We'll find out more about what he's up to in just a moment. What else have you got for us, Claire?
Hi guys, this week I've got more on flying cars, but first, in China, scientists have successfully cloned 2 monkeys. The 2 identical, healthy, long-tailed female macaques are 6 and 8 weeks old. The study was led by scientists at the Chinese Academy of Sciences Institute of Neuroscience. They used a method called somatic cell nuclear transfer, or SCNT, which has never before been successful on primates. Although this technique could be used to clone humans, the scientists have stressed that it is not their intention. It's a process used to transplant a cell's nucleus, which contains DNA, into a nucleus-free egg. Once the egg is developed enough, it's implanted into a surrogate who could eventually give birth to a baby that's genetically identical to the original nucleus donor. This is a breakthrough, but it's causing some controversy as over 200 eggs were used, but only 2 monkeys were born. Plus, the scientists want to use this method to produce genetically identical animals for experiments to reduce genetic differences that cause inconsistencies in research. On the other hand, the process could be used with gene editing procedures to ensure babies are born without genetic disorders. So now the question is cloning ethical and justified? Flying cars are now one step closer to becoming a reality. An online school will start teaching students the ins and outs of flying car engineering. The first of its kind course is being taught by a Silicon Valley online school called Udacity. The nano degree lasts about half a year and starts this month. For almost $2,500, students will learn about and develop programming skills. They'll also learn about aerial robotics and aircraft intelligence. It was created by Professor Sebastian Thrun, a former teacher at the University of Stanford, who also previously led Google's flying car project Waymo. Professor Thrun is also in charge of Kitty Hawk, which is a startup that's aiming to develop flying vehicles. He's already created a prototype of a one-man drone that can take off and land vertically, as well as fly up to 10 metres high. He hopes the course will increase the number of engineers who can work with self-driving vehicles. At the moment, Google, Amazon and NASA are all working on developing flying vehicles. Soon, flying cars will no longer be science fiction. Elton John may have recently announced his last ever live tour, but a team of virtual reality experts have announced they're working with him to preserve his essence. After a whopping 50-year career, 70-year-old Elton John will retire after his upcoming 300-date world tour. To preserve his legacy, he's teamed up with artificial intelligence and virtual reality experts from Spinifex and Rival Theory. If they can capture the true essence of him and his performances, future musicians could potentially perform and collaborate with the icon. This means that Elton John could still create new music even after he's gone. So, how exactly is this possible? Well, Spinifex will try to record Elton John's precise movements, behaviour and speech patterns over the next few years. They'll be using virtual reality cameras, green screens, computers and other technology. If it's successful, Elton John could outlast the boundaries of geography and time. Lucky for us, we'll be able to see his real-life self perform over the next year before he becomes a simulation. And that's what's in news this week.
Thanks, Claire. Well, you know, David, Elton John is one of the artists that I've always intended to see but never seen live. And now I kind of feel like I don't even need to see his last 300-day tour. I can just kick back, wait another 20 years and just see him whenever I like.
Yeah, this is true. I mean, honestly, though, what is this showing us about where entertainment is going? You know, in terms of just how they're embracing technology and able to use it in completely different and new ways, especially someone who's really at the end of their playing career. It just gives so much more longevity. Imagine if this was around for the Beatles or, you know, any of those bands that don't exist anymore.
And I wonder if the technology will exist to bring them back from the dead, so to speak.
Well, you never know. I remember a few years ago, you know, just talking about holographic images, and they were talking about a Beatles tour with Paul and Ringo, and having holograms of John and George on the stage. So it would appear like you had the whole band there, but it was basically those two, you know, reincarnated through a hologram. Yeah,
that would be amazing, particularly if you're a fan and, you know, later on in life. What about for artists like Sia, who clearly is not necessarily, like, performance isn't really her thing. So I wonder whether she would then be able to, you know, do performances behind the scenes that were filmed and then taken to the stage in front of people.
Exactly. And that brings into the whole conversation then the virtual ticketing and being able to actually buy concert tickets to concerts that are actually not concerts.
Yeah. Well, you can check us out at theinshow.online Facebook and follow The In Show on Twitter if you're yet to do so. And tomorrow, check out The In Show podcast once again, because we're going to be speaking to someone who's taking us to space.
We talk to a satellite company that's tracking unidentified space objects.
That's tomorrow on The In Show podcast.
The In Show News. Subscribe to The In Show podcast on iTunes. A Dave and the Beanstalk production.
Are you a podcaster? Maybe you've got that big idea and you're looking for a network to join. The multi-award-winning Ozcast Network can get your content to eyes and ears all over the world. Join now for the first month free, and you could be featuring this sound at the beginning of your podcast.
Ozcast.
Simply head to ozcastnetwork.com for details.